Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon. The perfect Kevin Costner replacement for Beth and Rip spinoff is his old Western rival who was almost cast in Yellowstone's next spinoff. The perfect Kevin Costner replacement for Beth and Rip spinoff series is actually an old Western rival who was almost cast in another Yellowstone spinoff. Ever since Taylor Sheridan's neo-Western drama series, Yellowstone was disappointingly cut short after season 5, there have been a few spin-off shows proposed to carry on the characters' stories. Beth and Rip's Yellowstone spin-off was announced during the second half of season 5, and while details, including its title and supporting cast, remain fairly elusive, we know that the show will include the return of Kelly Reilly, Beth Dutton, and Cole Hauser, Rip Wheeler. Yellowstone struggled to maintain its momentum towards the end, especially after Kevin Costner, John Dutton IV, unexpectedly quit the show. Therefore, there is hope that Beth and Rip's new spin-off will revive the franchise with a new focus, and perhaps even fulfill the storylines that would have happened in Yellowstone's planned seasons 6 and 7. Of course, Costner's swift exit has caused a problem for Yellowstone's universe due to the prominence of his character. Consequently, it looks like Beth and Rip's Yellowstone spin-off will be looking for a Kevin Costner replacement to fill a similar role in the new show. According to a report by Puck, the Beth and Rip spin-off show will begin filming in the summer, and they are looking to cast a Kevin Costner type that is definitely not Costner to join them. The need for a new Kevin Costner-type character comes after Costner's swift exit led to an unfortunate off-screen death for John Dutton. As a result, there is now a missing personality in the Yellowstone universe, and the new character must have a similar sense of gravitas, and perhaps even notoriety to the Western genre, just like Costner, to fill that gap. While there are many potential contenders to replace Kevin Costner in Yellowstone's Beth and Rip spin-off show, Western legend Kurt Russell would actually be perfect for this role. Having a vivid background in Western movies, Russell knows the genre well enough to have the same characterization that Costner had as John Dutton. Furthermore, Kurt Russell's notoriety would also bring a sense of gravitas to his character on screen among lesser-known actors. Interestingly, despite fitting the character specification for Beth and Rip's spin-off, Kurt Russell was actually heavily linked to another upcoming Yellowstone spin-off called The Madison. Confirmed to be in development, The Madison will reportedly follow the Clyburn family's relocation to Montana following the death of their patriarch, with Michelle Pfeiffer set as the lead character. Kurt Russell was supposedly in talks to be cast in this Yellowstone spin-off in 2024, with reports seemingly confirming the actor was attached to the project. However, there has been no official confirmation and Russell has not been cast in The Madison as of yet. Even with Kurt Russell not being confirmed for The Madison's cast, I would love to see him in a Taylor Sheridan show due to his stature and history in the Western genre. In fact, Kurt Russell not being cast in either Yellowstone show would be disappointing and a missed opportunity, especially with such a big name like Kevin Costner no longer attached. However, with Michelle Pfeiffer supposedly headlining The Madison's cast, it would make more sense for Kurt Russell to appear in Beth and Rip's spin-off show instead as the big name of this other spin-off. If Kurt Russell did replace Kevin Costner in Yellowstone, it would fit perfectly with their interesting Western history. The two actors have been rivals for a long time, ever since they both featured in Wyatt Earp projects in the 1990s. Russell famously played Wyatt Earp in Tombstone in 1993, and Costner played the same role in 1994's Wyatt Earp. As a result of the project's similarities and release dates, Kevin Costner and Kurt Russell had a box office battle, although Tombstone was a clear winner in the end for being the highest-grossing movie that was also more critically favored. Both Costner and Russell brought something different to their portrayals of Wyatt Earp. While Russell's Earp was more charismatic, Costner's version of the character was notoriously aggressive. Consequently, it can be rather subjective as to whether you think Kevin Costner's Wyatt Earp or Kurt Russell's Tombstone was the best Western movie. Regardless, if Kurt Russell really were to be Costner's replacement, it would be rather fitting given their respective histories in the Western genre. When it comes to Western legends, few names ride taller in the saddle than Kevin Costner. As John Dutton in Yellowstone, he brought grit, gravity, and a cinematic heritage that made Taylor Sheridan's neo-Western epic thunder like a stampede across the TV landscape. But with Costner's departure from the mainline series and whispers of new chapters forming around the iconic Beth Dutton and Rip Wheeler, a question emerges like dust rising over the horizon. Who could possibly replace Kevin Costner's presence in this rugged world? The answer, as it turns out, may lie not in a fresh face, but in a familiar one, an old Western rival who once nearly shared Yellowstone's stage, and whose name carries its own dusty trail of cinematic gravitas, Robert Duvall. Yes, that Robert Duvall. While Costner and Duvall may have ridden different trails in the Western genre, their paths crossed memorably in the 2003 film Open Range. The movie, directed by Costner, featured the two titans of the screen as aging cowboys with guns, grit, and a code of honor that defined their generation. The dynamic between them was electric, Costner's haunted Charlie Waite balancing against Duvall's sage-like boss Spearman. Their chemistry was so potent, many wondered if the duo might ever reunite. And nearly they did. What many fans don't know is that Duvall was once quietly approached for a part in Yellowstone, a guest role, possibly even a short arc, but scheduling, health concerns, and creative direction led him down other trails. Still, his legacy hovered over the franchise like a legend whispered around campfires. Now, with a Beth and Rip spinoff in development, the opportunity to saddle up again presents itself in a way that could both honor the Western tradition and provide a poetic nod to Costner's exit. Duvall wouldn't play John Dutton. No one should. That role belongs to Costner and Costner alone. But he could step in as the next Dutton adjacent. A hardened patriarch, a ghost from the past, or a rival landowner with a tangled history with Rip. Imagine this. Beth and Rip, now running a new ranch, maybe in Wyoming or back in Montana, but on different land, are faced with an old nemesis, someone who knew John Dutton intimately, perhaps even fought beside him in a range war decades ago. Enter Duvall as Clint Maddox, a retired cattleman with scars of his own and a score to settle, or maybe a secret to share. The key to Duvall's appeal is that he doesn't replace Costner. He honors his legacy while carving a new, weathered niche in this world. His portrayal would be less about seizing power, more about understanding how the land shapes a man. In that way, he mirrors Rip more than John. Clint Maddox could become a surrogate mentor to Rip in Costner's absence, a grizzled oracle with a slow drawl and a faster trigger. And for Beth, he could challenge her in ways John never did, forcing her to confront parts of herself even she's afraid of. It's not just nostalgia that makes Duvall the perfect fit. It's his ability to convey truth through stillness, to command a scene with silence. He wouldn't need to raise his voice to make the hairs on your neck stand up. Duvall's Western characters are never caricatures. They are steeped in authenticity. And in a world like Yellowstone's, where alliances shift like prairie winds and loyalty is bought in blood, his presence would ground the show in a way few actors could. Let's go one step deeper. Suppose Sheridan introduces Maddox not as a villain or a mentor, but as a living reminder of what Rip and Beth could become. A man who loved deeply, lost fiercely, and built a kingdom only to watch it crumble. His storyline could unfold like a ghost story, half memory, half prophecy. He could become the moral compass Rip never knew he needed, especially as Beth's ambition grows more dangerous. With John Dutton gone, Rip's center might begin to tilt. Maddox could be the steadying hand, or the final push toward chaos. There's also a poetic symmetry here. Duvall at 90 carries the torch of the Western genre into its twilight. Just as Costner did in Yellowstone, Duvall could offer fans one last, searing performance, bringing dignity and power to a new generation of characters. If Sheridan's vision is to bridge the past with the future, then Duvall isn't just a great choice, he's the choice. And let's not forget what this does for the franchise. Yellowstone thrives when it leans into legacy. Whether it's casting Sam Elliott in 1883 or bringing in Harrison Ford for 1923, Sheridan understands that the genre lives and dies by the weight of its performers. Duvall wouldn't be stunt casting, he'd be the narrative spine of a new frontier, a spiritual successor, an echo of what came before and a warning of what's to come.